Welcome to CloudyChiptv, and welcome to Agree to Disagree, where me and Mag will actually be facing off for the third time in the last 3
First
weeks.
of all, hold on. You're not facing off against me, boy.
But we're facing off today, and we're actually going to be getting into some really good topics a little bit later on today in today's segment. Just wanted to kind of just start off the podcast very casual and just how you doing, Mag? How's everything? How's life? Talk to me.
Man, gaming right now is crazy. PlayStation Plus has me busy. I got to play Final Fantasy for the first time ever. I've replayed every single Batman Arkham series game for about 2 hours each.
Yeah.
And then I played a whole bunch of other stuff, but those are just some of the many games for PlayStation Plus. But yeah, everything's good, and we're not facing off because you would lose. Just so everybody knows, this is not a face-off. I will destroy this man. But we're going to be talking about gaming news related, top news, big topics, and things like that. You can share your thoughts and opinions and jump in also, because it is not a face-off. Your thoughts and opinions matter as well. It's all about agreeing to disagree sometimes, and that's what the show is all about. It's fun. We'll get into topics we might disagree on, and we'll go back and forth. But it's never a right or wrong. It's all just perspective.
It's all fun. Yeah, perspective is all fun and games, right? And that's kind of like, I like to keep it like that, very lighthearted. As for me, when it comes to life, right? So today, this weekend, had a couple of things going on. One, I had a birthday party today early in the morning. My friend, his daughter's birthday, she turned 1. So, kid's birthday, did it kind of early. Was really fun. I haven't been to one of those in some time. Pandemic kind of put a hold on a lot of like get-togethers and stuff like that. But it was nice to kind of be around people and kind of enjoy that, right? And then yesterday it was a friend of ours, me and my wife. She ended up getting married yesterday, and we celebrated that. Which is, like I said, it's like little by little things are slowly starting to come back to reality, right? Back to somewhat normal.
Reality, though?
Somewhat normal, right? Because I felt like things have changed in some times, right? People were afraid to come out their house, and you go to the grocery store, they got you washing your lettuce. It's crazy, but
I always wash my lettuce, though.
Because you're watching your lettuce, they got you washing your broccoli, all your fruits and stuff.
Dude, I was washing my
but it's crazy. But it's crazy. It's like some people don't even wash their hands, and they're here washing their fruits and veggies.
Bro, fruits and veggies are always washed. But I was washing my cans of beans when the pandemic started. That's how bad it was.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I was having to wipe that down too. Yeah,
scrubbing everything you wouldn't normally scrub down. It's crazy.
Yeah,
but you're right. We're still in the Matrix. It's not reality like he's saying. We're in some movie or some video game, but we are getting back to the game's normal patterns and rhythms. So it's good.
Yeah, little by little, man. I feel like we're slowly getting to that place, right? And everything's kind of somewhere normalizing a little bit. But like I said, we still have some ways to go. There's still some, it's still not over yet, but we're getting to some sort of normalcy, right? And so that's good. Another thing too exciting is I actually, if you guys didn't listen to the last podcast, I had some new equipment that was supposed to be coming in. Got it up and running. It's the first time in today's podcast that we're actually utilizing it, and hopefully it puts a little bit better quality when it comes to audio to the podcast. And it's called the Rodecaster Pro 2. Talked about it a little bit. Got me a SM7B. Trying to up the quality a little bit for you guys, so you make it somewhat of a better experience, your listening experience, so you guys are never mind entertained, but also you guys can enjoy it, right? And that's kind of something that I've been waiting for, and I'm so glad that I was able to do this. We work really hard, and when you work really hard and you're able to provide something like this, never mind for yourself, because it is a nice little toy for myself, but helps helps the listening for my viewers. It's great, right? As far as gaming,
we'll see. I want to see, because that thing's expensive, folks, and it's actually really cool. It's a lot of great features when I seen it, and I was like, damn, this is impressive. And now he paid for it, and now he has to make it worth it, is what I'm saying. So we're going to have some shows for you every single week. You're going to be seeing all the latest news. Basically, you come by and you want to catch up on what is happening this week. We got you covered pretty much every single week. It's on Spotify and iTunes and all of the different places you want to find it. You're going to be able to find them there. Every single week we'll put it up. Now, when we go live and things like that, today's a Sunday, but sometimes we'll go live Saturday. We'll see on the schedule, but what matters is you can support us by listening to it on Spotify while you're at the gym or you're washing clothes and you want to learn what is going on in the industry. We're here to feed you that. And then also, like he said, he wants to get into a sparring match and he's gonna lose, but it's fine.
Yeah, but and so yeah, so that's kind of something nice and interesting that I have going on. Another thing too, if you guys have been watching some of my streams, I've actually been getting back into the streaming finally because I'm slowly getting, like I said, my normalcy. I'm slowly getting back to somewhat normal, right? Because like I said, I had to take some time off from the gaming a little bit to kind of get a lot of this stuff off the ground, and I somewhat got it off the ground. Still some tweaks, and it's always going to be better. We're always going to be tweaking things to make it a lot more clean and polished, which is always the goal. But expect a lot more coming from us, right? And you know, we have the channel on YouTube, CloudyChiptv, is where we're going to be posting a lot of the content that we're doing here, and anybody who doesn't want to listen to the whole segment, we will be cutting it up and making it a little bit smaller. It's a little bit easier to digest, so you'll be able to actually enjoy it a little bit better, right? Because not everybody wants to sit through a 2-hour podcast or 3-hour podcast, or however long it takes. But
Yes, you guys do.
But at the same time, if you don't have the time and maybe you don't want to listen to the whole thing, we got you covered in the smaller segments, right? But I've been getting into gaming. Last game I got into was Resident Evil. I was playing that earlier this week. Tested out, loved it, loved a lot. Like I said, they did a really great job with the hard mode on it and the graphics and converting that over to the PS5. If you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely get your hands on it. It's a huge improvement. And it's amazing to see how a game can go from what it used to be in the Nintendo 64 days, PlayStation 1 days, and transform into something that's so nicely polished and fits in perfectly with the new generation. And they're doing that.
Playing Resident Evil 2, by the way.
2, yeah. 2, the remake, yeah. And so I put on a quick nice little review on my website, CloudyChiptv.com. Go check that out. It has basically it's just me giving my quick little first impressions as to how I feel about the game and on hard mode. And what I've been getting into lately, this last game that I've been playing for, and I'm hoping to beat it. It's Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, right? I've had it for some time. I had it for over a year. Haven't got a chance to get my hands on it, like actually play it. I own it, but I didn't play it, right? And then I finally started playing it. And I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty. And I've been getting into this place now of wanting to try these games on really hard difficulties. I don't know what it was. I just woke up one day and just said, screw it. I got to play it like this. And it's been bringing out another side of a gamer, right? Because I love gaming. Bringing out another side of me. And it's making me want to actually play these games and actually bring in like that enjoyment to the games more for me now, playing it that way than how it used to be done, right? Before, just playing it on easy or normal, was to say you just cruise through it, and yes, you get the story and you get through it quickly, but was you challenged? Did it allow you to play the game the way the developers intended? And I think that's very important when it comes to developing games and wanting to enjoy it how the developer intended. And a lot of times you play games on these hard difficulties, and it will bring out another side to you. And I think anybody, like, pick a game that you've been wanting to get into, try it on hard mode. If you don't feel comfortable, play it on normal for an hour or two, get used to the controls, and then start over and play it on hard. You'll feel a sense of accomplishment as you're progressing through the story, and I feel like you will enjoy it more. Because you actually get to feel challenged, right?
Yeah, I'll pause you there for a second and just add to that. You got to understand when you're playing on harder difficulties, you have to actually have the mindset to want the challenge, to have that competitive nature about yourself, right? We're here competing with ourselves every day, right? I want to get better at things with my family. I want to get better with my job. I want to get better with my lover. I want to get better with whatever it is I can do in society.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do. And it's the same thing with gaming. You want to be able to take your mistakes, learn from them, and when you play on hard difficulties, it'll make you understand, like, hey, I'm doing something wrong. What should I do to adjust? I need
Yeah.
to start over. And that's the beauty of playing on harder difficulties. Personally, I like the games that are designed for harder difficulties. Some games are not done well. That's a conversation I always try to bring up to people to understand it.
Yeah, that's a
Just putting it on
conversation.
hard
Yeah.
doesn't make it better. It's about, for example, Returnal doesn't have a difficulty. You're gonna play it and it's gonna beat you down if you let it. Or you can be better and get aggressive the way I play, and you'll end up dominating the game because you're not playing scared and letting everything overwhelm you. So it's just how things work
Yeah.
in life and in gaming. And just take up the challenge mentally to want to be improve and get better, and not just nonchalantly play. And there's nothing wrong
Mm-hmm.
with playing on like story mode. They have story modes now for a
Yep.
lot of games where you could just play on story mode and it's basically just cinematics, and then you could just run through the game. That's fun too. If that's where your head's at and that's what you feel comfortable with, go for it. A friend of mine is deaf, but he gets to play video games. I grew up with him as a kid. We used to make music. Even though he was deaf, he would help me make music, and it's just a beautiful guy. Then on top of that, he gets to game because of these games have accessibility. So it is a great thing in our society that we're able to provide those type of things, the extra difficulty for somebody that feels like they want it, and then the easier mode for those who don't. There's no judgment there. It's all whatever you preference,
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, in my whole take when it comes to all that is that I feel like a lot of times you get these reviews, and a lot of times these reviews are not they're they only tell you like one, they don't tell you what difficulty will really play that, right? Because I feel like a lot of times you'll get a review for someone, but the game, like if I was to play Ratchet and Clank on regular normal mode, I don't feel like I would like be as challenged, and I could probably get through the whole game using one weapon, right? um when you're playing on harder difficulties, you realize, oh wait a minute, it's a lot more challenging. I need to utilize everything to the best of my ability, and that's kind of what I've been experiencing, and it's been causing me to be like, wow, I gotta like I gotta get good, and I have to utilize like all the upgrade abilities that are at my disposal. So what I've been wanting to do and expose a little bit more, and you can catch this on my channel over at CloudyChiptv. What I want to start doing, and I feel like it's needed, is breaking, giving my impressions on difficulty, right? So giving you my impressions on the game, but also how the game changes from a normal difficulty over to something that's a little bit harder, and giving you my impression as to how was intended to be played, and what's the best difficulty to play it at, and why, right? Because I think that's a little bit better than a review in some cases, because what ends up happening is that you end up, one, learning a little bit more about the game, and two, trying to understand how it was intended to play, right? To get the most enjoyment from the game. So I feel like that's the best way to kind of like break that down. So I want to start doing stuff like that. You will be seeing stuff like that on my YouTube channel, aside from the podcast, to kind of bring you guys my impressions on a lot of these games, because me and Mag do get involved with a lot of the stuff going on. Whether it's indie games, whether it's AAA games, whether it's a lot of time me and Mag got a channel called Cobra Ops, where we basically co-op together, and we play some of these co-op games and enjoy our time doing that as well. So like I said, we just got a lot going on, and I feel like it's good to kind of give our takes on things, and have you guys be a part of the conversation. So that's my take. That's basically what I've been getting into this week. That's kind of how or less. I still got to beat it, so I still got this week. If you guys want to see me beat the rest of the game, I will be playing it and streaming it this week. Ratchet and Clank is basically taking over my life right now. But it's a great game. But it's a great game.
It's specifically Drift Apart, the Ratchet and Clank Drift Apart. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of the best games right now that you could think of next gen on every level, from the controller, having the haptic feedback, and from the visuals to story, gameplay. It's top tier.
Yeah,
Recommend.
yeah. Yep, yep. So that's basically my whole thing in a nutshell. So All right, Max. So let's start breaking some stuff down. So as of now, what was new this week that was released? I think the biggest release right now this week was Sonic Origins. And you tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like that right now this week was the biggest story. Sonic Origins is basically taking a bunch of what was already good at one point. So it's anything from the Sega era, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and kind of putting a lot of those retro games into one nice compilation where you can kind of enjoy the whole story in a nutshell. And it's kind of what they wanted to do. I feel like that's what it was intended to do. And then also Capcom the Fighting Collection was also released. That was released on the 24th of June, which was on Friday, which basically also gives you like a nice little package of what Capcom has to offer when it comes to a lot of their fighting games. One of the biggest ones, of course, is Street Fighter always, right? And that's the biggest fighting game title that they have. But they also have Darkstalkers. Darkstalkers is another really big fighting game that Capcom owns that Ep.2. And that is also within the collection. And that's and that alone, I feel it makes that Capcom collection, that game alone makes that Capcom collection worth it to me, in my opinion. But those are the two biggest releases right now as of yet. Any takes on that, Mac? What do you think?
I disagree. Let me get the disagree button. Bang. So, Fall Guys was a game I've been talking about a year and a half before it came out, tweeting about it. I love this. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. Da 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 da. And it comes out for PC and PlayStation exclusively last year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they say, hey, everybody deserves to play. So now it's free to play on Xbox and the Switch, Epic Games, pretty much any type of gaming service, you can play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had some new content. They had a lot of stuff. And it just so happens to be the biggest game all week long. If you go on Twitch right now, where we are, you look up, it'll be on the top 3, right next to a Call of Duty or next to whatever big game is number 1.
Yeah.
It is right there battling with popularity because it's finally open to all the platforms, because it's just a silly game that you can have a good time with some friends. You can play with your viewers, for example. And it's like really laid back, but it's very competitive. What's funny about it is that you're trying to win. It's a battle royale, but it's a lot of obstacle courses and it's goofy beans with legs and arms. And the game is pretty good. I got to say, like I said, I've been promoting this before it released. It's a small indie game. It blew up to be one of the biggest games. It has featured all of the franchises that you know and love. It has, skins of those characters, so you can play as your favorite character in whatever video game you like. You have a lot of the skins and stuff like that. So I really, really got to respect the fact that it's staying long. I thought it would be fun when it first came out, but it's actually longevity and it's continuing to grow. I actually took it off of my files and I put it back on recently because I wanted to, get that feeling again. So big props to them. It's called Fall Guys. Just a very small indie game that's blew up drastically from Media Tonic. Sorry, I'm butchering their name. Media Tonics is the name of the studio. So shout out to them.
Yeah, like I said, I played it a little bit. It seems like a fun game. It's like one of those games you kind of can get in real quick, enjoy, and kind of put your time in and then kind of get out, right? That's how I feel. Maybe you have a different experience with the game, but it's one of those games. It's almost like racing to the finish. And you're basically walking, racing, trying to bump and like get over these little, it's almost like what's that show called that they do like Wipeout? And you have to get through these, but instead of just you by yourself, you have a whole team, like everybody's in it at once trying to get to the finish line. And whoever doesn't make it on time, so let's say only 30 people, the first 30 people to make it to the finish line go to the next level. Whoever didn't make it gets cut off. And it's like, and it continues to progress until they have a final winner, right? And so, which, it's a great game. And it's one of those things, it's like anybody who streams is always one of those things you can just kind of play in the middle of like, as a bonus and say, oh, you know what, guys, everybody join me. We're all going to get on Fall Guys. We're going to get this. It's a nice little way to kind of bring everybody together, and they're doing a really good job with it. And there's a lot of support for it. It seems like the community has done a really good job accepting that game. it's almost like the Rocket League, right? Yeah, how great of a community that game has built over time, and Fall Guys is kind of doing the same. And it seems like a simple concept, but it's a simple concept that has been taking everyone by storm, right? And it's not a bad thing. I think it's a great thing. And we need we need games like that. And that's why I've seen EA in the last couple years kind of trying new things, from the dodgeball game that they released to now they got one that you rollerblade and then you can hit people.
Rollerblades from Ubisoft.
Right, but you got companies trying these things, trying new things with gaming to kind of get the next Fall Guys or get the next Rocket League, and kind of get their hands in these other types of communities and built another community revolving something else, right? And I feel like they've been trying to. A lot of these companies have noticed that there's a really good market for it, and they've been trying to get their hands on these smaller games, right? And I don't feel like they're really big budget titles, but at the same time, they do build great communities, and I think that's kind of their intention with these games. So you can, tell me if I'm wrong, but that's how I feel. I feel like that's kind of the purpose behind it. Like I said, I could be wrong, but that's how I feel.
How you feel is how you feel.
How
Yes,
I
the
feel.
developers. I think the industry right now in general, I love the experimentations. I love indie games a lot because you end up seeing them actually try to do something different. And then all of a sudden, when it looks okay, a year later or 2 years later, a
Yeah.
big studio will do the same thing, the exact same thing, and it'll be a success. So, it's just small ideas that can turn into big things. And, I'm happy with that. And I love that. Same thing with like Star Wars coming out with a bunch of TV shows. They got new spin-offs and this and that. The more they can give,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything ain't gonna be perfect, but there'll be some great ones in there, and I appreciate that. And that's what we're lucky with gaming. There's always something coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always stuff to revisit for different reasons, also. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing out there in the industry as far as games.
Yeah, and as far as talking about gaming, those are the couple games that came out this week. Some of the ones to look forward to coming out this week. I feel like it's not really games. I feel like DLC is kind of taking over, and one of the biggest DLCs that are releasing this week is going to be Cuphead. Cuphead releases June 30th. It's Cuphead, the delicious last course. And that game is that's one of the biggest ones. Of course, there is Outriders, the World Slayer. There, you also got DNF.
I was gonna say, like, how are you gonna talk about Cuphead and not Outriders?
You got a couple of them. So you got DNF Duel. You got which is a fighting game created by Arc System. Really great fighting game, but it's very complex. A lot of the stuff that Arc System does, it's it's a little bit easy to pick up, but it's very hard to master. And I feel like a lot of games are starting to kind of take over that form of style when it comes to fighting games, right? So that's that. But the biggest one, Cuphead, I think to me is the biggest one. You got Outriders. If you guys are really into that, that's good. That's the World Slayers, another one. And then Rabbids. Rabbids has always been a really big title from Ubisoft, and they have it's called Rabbids Party of Legends. So that also comes out June 30th as well. So all those DLCs and the Rabbids come out June 30th. And then June 28th, expect DNF Duel. Like I said, it's a fighting game taking everyone by storm. And anybody who's in the fighting game community, of course, anybody who's into any type of fighting games, just kind of keep your eyes peeled for something like that. It's like I said, a lot of these fighting games, each one has their own unique style. Arc System does a really good job. They're the creators of Guilty Gear. They're the creators of Dragon Ball Z Fighter Z, right? And they did a really good job with that game. I don't feel like no other company would have done a better job. And yeah, this is my take. No other fighting game developer would have done a better job than Arc System when it comes to creating what they've created with the Dragon Ball Z era. The Dragon Ball Z Fighter Z revived everything Dragon Ball Z, and it feels the closest to the animated series, the closest. And it's not even a story-driven game. It has some story in it, but it's not even a story-driven game. But the personality, the characters, the way they were designed is so close to the animated series. It just feels, and even watching the gameplay, it feels like you're watching the animated series. It's crazy how well made that game was. They did such a great job with it. And I'm excited to see what they do with Fighter Z 2. If they ever come out with another one, which I won't, that game sold so well, I don't see them not making another game for that. But that game, I hope it stays in the hands of Arc System because they did a great job with it. Arc System, to me, in the fighting game community is what Insomniac is to PlayStation right now. Insomniac is such a great. They're so great, but at the same time, I felt like they were misunderstood for some time. Like they weren't taken as serious, like the Naughty Dogs and a lot of those other bigger studios, right? Santa Monica, like the ones who created God of War. A lot of those other studios, they were held to such a higher praise, and Insomniac didn't get that. And I felt like with Insomniac doing what they've done, and this is a whole different conversation. We can go on this a whole nother day, but I'm gonna give my brief take on it because it needs to be said. Arc System were underdogs, and they're with what they've done with Dragon Ball Z, phenomenal. It's kind of the same treatment Insomniac was getting when it comes to developing games. They didn't treat it with the same level of respect. They come out with Spider-Man, they take over that series, and they smash it. Smash hit. It's so well done to the point they have to release another series. They have to make it a series, and now they're being associated as top dogs now. But at one point they weren't held to that standard, and it took Spider-Man to get them to there. Even though they've done such a great job with Ratchet and Clank.
It was Ratchet and Clank.
No, they did.
Iconic.
Okay.
An iconic IP, first of all.
Yeah.
Secondly, you're talking about Spyro, which is a really great kids game. You have Resistance, another great shooter. You have Sunset Overdrive. These are all their legacy games. Of course, they had other games after that, but those are their top tier games. They were the iconic, to create an iconic figure or iconic being in PlayStation is very difficult. There's so many. And there's so many big ones. And Ratchet and Clank has always been that. And I disagree with that statement. But I do agree with your statement about the fighting game. And, we'll see what this game can do. Duels. They did have a beta last month. And people were saying good things about it.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works, what happens.
My take is not that. My take is, yes, they did a great job with Ratchet and Clank. But Rift Apart, I felt it. They're getting the budget that they need. They're held to a different standard now. And then with them coming out with games like Ratchet and Clank, so it's so amazingly done. It makes me feel like Disney made this. Like it gives me that Monster Inc. vibe. And if anybody's got a chance to watch Monsters Inc. from DreamWorks, they did such a great job with the animation in that movie that this Ratchet and Clank game it could be its own DreamWorks movie, and that's how great it is, and it's from the voice acting to the graphics to the charm of the game. And I guess this is a year-old game that came out about a year ago. I'm starting to get into it now. I'm gonna beat it, but I've been streaming it, and it's really well done. But what got them to this standard wasn't Ratchet and Clank. It was Spider-Man to me. Them taking over the Spider-Man franchise, smashing it out the park because they were given the freedom to do what they wanted with that IP. And they done something magical with it to the point that it's leading to a different series, and it's taking everything by storm. And is what's putting PlayStation on another bracket, and Insomniac has to be given the recognition that they deserve. And that is my full take on it. Because I felt like they weren't, and I thank God that Spider-Man took them to that place, because now we're getting great games that are getting the budget that they need, like Ratchet and Clank, the next Spider-Man coming out, and who knows what other big IP, Batman, that they can probably take over, right? And
they're working on Wolverine right now.
So you look at that. So
The next
Wolverine.
Spider-Man.
So look at this. So Wolverine right now. If anybody's gotten a chance to see the trailer, I'll go ahead and I'll post it so you guys can take a look at it. But that game is amazing. If just the trailer alone, I'm so hyped for a Wolverine game, and the fact that it's being made by this studio, I'm amazed, and I'm actually in love right now. I can't wait. I can't wait to get my hands on this joint, man. But we'll see, man. Like I said, there's so much happening in the gaming industry, and I feel like these, even like indie titles, are becoming really great third party, like quality titles, and you're getting them at indie prices, right? Some of them. So it's like it's there. A lot of these studios are stepping up their game, and I feel like it has to do with a lot of the support. It has to do with the softwares that they have at hand, they're able to work with the new generation, with the power that we have with the graphics. It's really done well. And like I said, I'm so blessed to be a part of this gaming community, and to be a part of it, have gaming be a part of my life, because I get to enjoy things like this. And this is coming from a guy who's came from seeing games on the Genesis. Watching games on the Genesis is like, watching stuff that are pixelated, you know. So turn it to like literally like live action movies. It's amazing. So that's my take, man. That's how I feel about the studio. We'll get a little bit more into it as the time progresses. Maybe another time we'll get into like that whole topic. But my whole argument in a nutshell, I'm happy to see where they're at. So talk to me, Mag. So next thing on the list is going to be, there's been some rumors going around, and rumors that are facts. So one big thing that's been happening.
A rumor can't be a fact.
Well, kind of. Let's get logical. But you got Bungie. Bungie is right now currently suing a YouTuber. It's really big news. It's been hitting everything's been taking everything by storm. It's all over the place. And they're suing this kid for about almost $7.6 million. And if you want to know why, I'll post it here, but there's an article posted by The Verge. I'll put the source in the description below once we go ahead and post this. But basically,
for those listening, you can just look it up online, or go to our Twitter, our socials, and you'll find the information there about it. Basically, it's a tough situation, but at the end of the day, there's been a lot of online abuse by trolley type of people, and Cloudy probably got the rundown that he can give us on the article that he's about to post for the socials. What is your breakdown on that?
Yeah, so basically, in a nutshell, Bungie is suing this Destiny player because he had copyright strikes on his account. They basically hit him with a bunch of copyright strikes for DMCA because they had music in the gameplay. They told him to take it out. This person goes by the name Nick Miner, did not like it. So what he did, he created an email account with the tag CSS global, which means he's portraying, almost like somebody wanting to portray themselves to be an officer, going to stop somebody, acting like they're the law. He's basically doing that under the contractor for Bungie, and basically putting out these emails to all these other YouTubers saying, hey, you got to take down your videos or not be, going to be getting hit or sued by YouTube, and putting that stuff out there falsely, put a bad stamp on Bungie as a company, because it makes them look bad, even though it's not them doing it, it's someone else. And then so it's basically like defamatory, and it's getting it's gotten
basically the lawsuit's basically brand protection, let's just call it.
Yeah.
You got a fraud YouTuber trying to stop other YouTubers from being successful by putting out fake copyright strikes against them, and it basically
put a bad taste
to the point where it's like, wait a minute, we have to protect ourselves and we have to stop this behavior. And the problem with that is that if they don't take action, they try to be nice people, then everybody else that's a troll will do the same thing, and then it'll become something global on every game. people
Yeah,
will
yeah.
just do it on every game. The fact that Sony's suing is a good thing in the sense of, hey, don't play like that. Don't play like that.
Not Sony,
Nobody
Bungie,
play like
but yeah.
nobody
Hmm.
play like that. Don't try to, do this to other people. Don't do this to any company. We work really hard. We want our community to be happy, and we're
Hmm.
not going to allow you to destroy that. And that's a good thing. So we have
Yeah.
to be happy that it's happening. It's a sad thing and it's wrong that it's all exists, but Bungie's doing the right thing to kind of
Yeah.
put their foot on the throat of anybody that dares to treat their community wrong and any
Hmm.
gaming community. Because again, if it's your favorite game and it happens to you and you're just trying to stream the game and just have a little bit of fun, it's
Yeah.
a problem. So,
Yeah.
so
Like
that's
I
my
said.
take on
Yeah, like I said, it's just it's not it doesn't leave a nice taste in anyone's mouth, right? It puts a bad taste in anyone everyone's mouth when it comes to companies, right? Because especially if you're a fan of a series, right? I know Mag's a really huge fan of Metal Gear, but you got imagine you taking your favorite series and someone doing that, right? And you're trying to build a brand yourself, you with that game, let's say, or not even maybe you're just a casual player and you got someone and you just wanted to put out some fun content, and all of a sudden you got a troll basically destroying what you love, what you're putting out to the world, and it's not okay. And it's sad to see it. And $7.6 million ain't nothing to sneeze at, but I feel like maybe the person won't have to pay the whole thing, but at the same time, it puts things back into perspective, like respect the communities, right? There was, and they were being nice about it, just telling him to take the music down. We have to understand. We've been. Is the difference if this is new, but this has been something. The YouTube's been around for some time. Content creating has been around for some time. Nobody's really new to this. There's so much things out there that could teach you ways to kind of protect your brand, and all you got to do is look and research. And this is not new news to anyone. And we have to do our due diligence and kind of do our research and be better. We have to be better. And we can't allow trolls to do this and destroy what everyone's trying to build, right? And destroy companies' reputation. Bungie, you got a bunch of people. It's not even the CEOs. We're talking, regular people that go to work every day, 9 to 5s, who work really hard on something they're passionate about to support these communities, to build the game that they love and enjoy, and to bring something to you guys every single time, to have that support, to be basically destroyed or diminished by some little troll wanting to sit there and put his and just because it's like, oh, they did it to me, I'm gonna make sure everyone else feels that wrath too. And it's not okay. It's not okay. And and that's just my take, man. That's just my take on it. Any other words on this, Meg?
Nope.
And then another big thing, another big news, is going to be microtransactions. And this is another thing that's been breaking the internet recently. It's going to be the microtransactions when it comes to Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal is I believe is an RPG, and this RPG game has a lot of, it basically has a lot of microtransactions in the game. And there was some research of this gentleman. I believe he spent over $100,000 or $15,000.
Don't call it research, first of all.
But
go ahead. So I'm gonna let you finish.
but
Don't call it
but it was a lot of money. He spent a lot of money to get this one item in a game that was worthy of even a microtransaction. And
a legendary gem, which
And
is one thing that you're gonna equip onto your build.
Yep.
It's not even the whole build, so you're gonna be spending even more money overall.
Yeah.
But that's just, we'll get into it. But go ahead.
But yeah,
I'm gonna let you finish.
so basically what ends up happening is that you got someone like, companies who are putting these microtransactions, and some of them are done well. I won't say every microtransaction is bad, right? Sometimes there are games that do it well, and that's why battle passes are a thing now, to kind of deteriorate the gambling, kind of feeling like gambling and kind of just giving you something to work towards. It's a little bit more acceptable that way, and that's why we see a lot of big companies kind of going over to something less like a battle pass or something like that, right? Because it's being more widely accepted, and it kind of takes away that gambling feeling that you might have from it. But Diablo for the ends for like, if you're trying to get into a game like Diablo Immortal, all of a sudden you're there spending $15,000, $100,000 just to get this one gem. It's outrageous. It's crazy to me, and that's unacceptable. Unacceptable, and I don't support that. I don't think that's okay for any company to do. It shows a side of greed on a whole nother scale of a level of greed, and it's taking the community, and it's like basically not even respecting the players, right, at that point, and not even being for the players. And I don't condone that. I just think that's not fair. It's not fair. You got a lot of people who have kids who sit there and work really hard, and even people who come home and they have bills to pay, and maybe this is the only game they play. They shouldn't have to spend $15,000 just to get a legendary gem. That's unacceptable. But that's my take on it. I feel like that a lot of these companies have to, if you can't do it right, do away with it, right? And if you're gonna do it right, make sure you do it that it benefits the player as well. Someone who's giving time to this game, someone who's putting in 100 hours to this game, give them a benefit, right? Of wanting to play your game. If I can just go into a game and purchase all these microtransactions and all of a sudden destroy everybody I come across, and not only that, but then in order to get a legendary gem, I have to sit there and some games at one point were doing this, so you have to pay 1,000 hours just to get one legendary piece. It's crazy. Now, or you'll go and you'll have to sit here and spend $15,000 like a gentleman did. So it's like it's unacceptable. You shouldn't have to do that. It doesn't make it doesn't make it fun for anyone. But what's your take on it, Mag? Talk to me.
Well, on the end of the day, it comes down to two factors. First and foremost, a business is a business. If I open up a corner store and I sell water for $8, 1 gallon of water for $8, and you buy it, that's your fault. It's not mine.
Yeah.
I'm doing business. When the pandemic hit, I had to go run around stores. I literally went to 7 or 8 stores. Nobody had water. And the one store that had water, he was selling a gallon of water for $6. Okay, this is a true story. I looked at his face. I said, "You kidding me?" So then I drank faucet water for a couple weeks
Oh
because I was
man.
like, "Hey, I ain't paying no $6 for 1 gallon of water." I just felt like it was disrespectful. The facts are, if you're a player or you're a consumer of any product, you have a choice. The problem with our society is that they feel like they don't have a choice. They need to get every new iPhone every 6 months. They need to, buy every single whatever it is that comes out to try to be a part of the whole. Hey, did you watch that movie? Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. You only watch it to tell people you saw it. You didn't. You wasn't even excited to watch it. You're just watching it to tell people you've seen it, which is terrible. Only spend your money and time on things that you value and you care for, is my thoughts and opinion. Because if it's a game I love and I want to try to support it, and they got a lot of new skins, hats, and clothing, and this and the gun skins and all that cool stuff, I'll support it because it's my favorite game. And it's like, hey, go take my money. You earned it. I'm wasting my money, but it's fine. I'll support you. But in this case, the situation was a dude supposedly trying to prove that the company's bad. Okay. You don't prove a company's bad by spending money on them and then deleting it. The bad part was he also just deleted it and said, you know what? I'm just going to delete it to protest, supposedly protest. That was his excuse. Trying to make himself look good. The issue is you look like a dumbass. All right. If you spend $10 on something and then break it or throw it away or delete it, you're still a dumbass. And then on top of that, you're supporting the problem. Hey, I don't like this
Yeah.
thing you got. I'm going to spend 15,000 on it. Let me go and
Mm.
let me help you out.
But
I
listen,
don't like what you're doing though.
yeah.
Here you go. Like, how smart are you as a person to do something like that? Nobody in their right mind should be doing this. So, and this is not a regular, just a insane person. Mental health is a real thing. This is a content creator who purposely wanted the publicity, and we're talking about it. I don't want to give him a shout out either, but we're talking about it in the sense of it's a topic for 2 weeks. It's going to be going for a while now because it's an industry problem also. Right now, there's a lot of microtransactions in games, and that's fine. GTA, one of the billion-dollar corporation because of
Yeah.
microtransactions. Fortnite, $1 billion also because of the microtransactions. A lot of other games I can name that make big money like that. Not all of them make $1 billion plus, but a lot of these companies are making $2, $4, or $5 billion off of microtransactions, and that's fine if it's something normal that you're buying that's non-competitive. But if you're giving me an edge in a game, somebody pays $60 to experience, and then the other person spends, let's say, 15,000, and they are stronger, more powerful, more capable. They'll survive longer. Then it ruins the experience if they have to battle each other. And this is where development studios are wrong. But it's the consumer who controls if they're wrong or not. If you're spending the money on it, you're just as wrong as them. If you
Yeah.
don't support that, they will have to stop doing that. So, for example, I can buy water for $1.50 in that same store right now that charged me $6, and I didn't take it. And I was dehydrated, and I'm like, I need this water, but I said I'm just gonna drink faucet water for a couple. And now the pandemic is gone, and all water is back to the normal price it used to be, 150 around there. So this is the mentality that has to change, and this is an educational thing, hopefully for young folks. I know my son playing NBA 2K used to call me, Dad, can you give me $20 PlayStation card? I'm like, for what? I need to upgrade my player. And I'm like, oh my God, he's not even trying to enjoy the game. He needs to upgrade his player. And it's like, all right, I just did it a few times, but I explained to him, I was like, listen, you're supposed to enjoy this game. You shouldn't have to blow all your money to level up to say, I want to enjoy it now. Just enjoy the whole progress is a part of why we play games. It's the experience. So there's a long story to get into development. There's a long story to get into consumerism and all of this different conversation.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel about this topic. And it needs to be said that don't support anything with your time or money if you don't feel it's worth it.
Yeah.
Just a logical, common sense thing. I'm not.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But what I would say, yes, to say a content creator did go and expose this, right? I would say I felt like it's necessary, right? I felt like it's one of those things that I'm actually happy it happened because it exposed some of the stuff happening in the industry.
Everybody already knew that the prices were too high.
Yes, we know that. But when it comes to this when it's this exaggerated, it puts it on such it's like exploded, right? It's under a microscope 100 times, right? So all of a sudden it's like everybody is so exposed that these companies now are shaking in their boots a little bit and saying we need to be better now because we can't be we can't be these guys, right? We can't have another creator, a content creator expose us in this way, right? So it puts them in a place where they have to be careful now and do things right.
They were already in that place.
Yeah, they were, but not to this point. This exposed it on a whole different scale to the point where now I feel like a lot of these companies are going to take notice of what's happening with Diablo right now. And it's a sad situation because apparently this game has a really great community. It's really supported. It has a lot of backing, right? And for a game like this to be under the scrutiny that is being under right now, it's sad, but at the same time, it needed to happen, right? Because eventually the bubble was gonna burst eventually, right? With these microtransactions and these companies trying to, and I understand why it's done, right? Business wise, of course, it's gonna drive more money. You want to continue to build some type of recurring revenue in a game that you put out for $70 now, because everything now is $70. And that's another topic we're gonna get into. There's something else down the pipe that we're gonna get into a little bit later today regarding $70. But
oh my gosh.
So then my thing is that right now I feel like this happening, it needed to happen, right? Now these companies, they start to tend to take notice. They don't want to be the next Diablo. They want to sit here and say, you know what, let's be better. Let's be still pro-consumer because there has to be a happy place and there has to be a way to do it. And some companies are starting to find that nice, happy medium, right? of how to still get microtransaction to get that reoccurring value where it continues to generate some type of income, still put out the game for $70 and still be able to support it and be able to know that you have that revenue stream coming in so you can make the next big title. So I understand why it's done, but at the same time, something like this exaggerated like Diablo was, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable and it needs to be done. And that's my take, man. I just feel like something needed to give. So that's how I feel. Any last words on this, Meg? He has nothing to say. Oh man. But like I said, I do agree with like I said, if you don't want to support something, for sure, don't spend your money on it, right? But then but I have to have some compassion too, right? Because like example, you got NBA. I'm gonna get into now. We're going deep. Now we're going because Mag want to be quiet. We're gonna get deep now. So you got NBA 2K. NBA right now has been they're dominating the basketball franchise because there's nothing else that's out there that can compete with 2K right now because NBA Live is not out right now. Sadly, they don't have a competition. NBA Live is not out, so 2K has no competition in that sector when it comes to NBA games. So NBA 2K is out. They put microtransactions in their games. Let's say you have, that's all you play is NBA basketball games. That's your niche. That's what you love. But when you are getting into microtransactions, start to diminish what the game that you love and make it very hard. All of a sudden, it starts to put you in a place where you're like I really love this game. I don't know what other game I'm gonna be playing. It's the only reason why I bought my PlayStation, right? Let's say that's the only reason why you bought your console is because you wanted to play a basketball game. 2K is the only one out right now. There's no other game out, so you have to eat it. It's like suck it, right? And it's like, oh, there you go, eat it. Yeah, you can't because what else what other basketball game you're gonna play? You don't have another one to go to, so you have to sit there and take that, right? And it's not okay for companies to abuse it, and that's why that's why I feel the way I feel. Like, yes, don't spend your money on it, but then you have to have some compassion and say, but what if that's the only reason why they even wanted to game in the first place? And now you're basically saying, well, too bad. I don't know what else to tell you. There has to be some compassion there. And there has to be a sense of, like I said, there has to be a happy medium when it comes to that. So that's my take. And, and it's like I said, at the end of the day, you don't have to spend your money, but you have to have, at least as a company, have some compassion for the community that you do have and be able to find a way to still please. You're never going to be able to please everyone, but at least to be able to know that you're trying to do the right thing by the community while still be able to generate that revenue that you do need, or you do need for the next title, next game, right? So that's my take in a nutshell. Any other last words, Mag? Anything else you want to add to this?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. All right, so that basically ties everything up. So now we're going to be getting into the fun part. We're going to be tying a lot of this in. We got three big topics of the day, and we're going to be getting into what we call agree to disagree. And this is where me and Mag are going to give our points on some of these three big topics that we're going to be discussing today. So first question that we have to get into, and it's a big one because I feel like a lot of people have their thoughts on it. And I want to get my take, and I want to get my take on it because I feel like it's one of those things that it needs to be said, right? So first big question of the day, is The Last of Us Part 1 worth a $70 price tag? And that is a really big question. It is a good question to ask right now. And my big take on it is going to be, it depends. And I'm going to say it depends because we still have to know a little bit more. It's coming out in September. But what I do know, I don't feel it's worth it if it does not include one. It can't be just here's some nicer graphics. Can't be just be nicer graphics. You have to give me change in gameplay. You have to give me the newer gameplay, which I think they did do. But I don't think it's worth it. I feel like the game being and I'm still gonna get it regardless. So this is not even a debate, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that say, well, this game already got remade for the PlayStation 4. Now it's getting remade again for the PlayStation 5. I feel like, some people feel like they're just being taken for a fool and being put in this place where they're having to sit here and say, oh, do I have to spend another $70 to get into, instead of just giving me a PS5 upgrade like you've been doing with games like later titles. So a lot of the later titles, like Mortal Kombat, I think they did a PS3, PS5 upgrade from the PlayStation 4. You got forget what was the other game? Ninja game. The Ninja game from Mag. Maybe you can help me with this. The Ninja game that PlayStation put out from Sucker Punch. What was the name? Ghost of Tsushima. They also put it.
What you sitting here? Don't even know the name.
Yeah, I went blank.
Where are you?
But Ghost of Tsushima, right? So they did I think you had to pay to get like a PS5 upgrade, but it wasn't like no $70 from my experience. But that's my take, right? Because you got a lot of people that are like, wow, I got to spend another $70. Now I got to spend $70. Never mind, I already bought it. I had it for the PlayStation 3. I bought it for the 4, the upgraded version. Now you want me to spend another $70 to get it for the 5? So I understand where the community is up in rage about this. I get it. And this is where I say I'm kind of in the middle, but I'm going to say it's not worth $70. Because one of the biggest things is I think they're doing nicer graphics. I believe they're getting into like changing the gameplay to match more or less what The Last of Us Part 2 kind of implements a lot of the mechanics and stuff from Part 2. And AI is a little bit smarter too, to top it off. But they don't, but the Last of Us 2, Part 2, and this is not Part 1, the one that's being remade now. Part 2 is still on the PS4. They didn't. So what is going to happen? This is my take. So what's going to happen now? I'm not going to get a remastered version or a PS5 upgrade version for The Last of Us 2 for free, or get it with the purchase of my Part 1, The Last of Us Part 1. I'm going to have to, what's going to happen? You're going to wait 6 months and then you're going to give me the option to buy the PS5 version of The Last of Us 2. And this is where my debate comes into it, because this is why I say I don't feel like it's fair. But at the same time, I don't agree with the price tag. I feel like the game, $40 would have been more than enough to justify them giving out that game, remaking it. $40, maybe $50, and even that's pushing it. But $40-$50, I think, would have been more than enough for them to. And then $70 gets me the PS5 upgrade for The Last of Us 2. And if they did that, and they give that to us as consumers for supporting this game from the PS3, supporting it on the PS4, and now you want to release it for the PS5 and you want us to support it, give us that. But they didn't even do that. They're just giving us Part 1 remade. That's it. And with the DLC included in it, like they did with the PS4, which I don't think is fair. And that's why I say I don't think it's worth the $70 price tag. I feel like they need to bump that down to $50. And if you're going to have us pay as consumers, pay $70 for something that it's already been out for. We're already in the 9th generation of consoles, right? Where we already went through the PS3, went through the PS4. Now we're in the PS5 and you're having us pay full price. Not okay. Give us Part 2, the one that came out for the PlayStation 4, The Last of Us Part 2. Give us that with better graphics and upgraded version for the PS5. And in that case, makes it worth it. Makes it worth at least more the $70 price tag. So that's my take. Give me a little bit more insight, Mag, as to how you feel about this, and then what makes this even worth $70 if that's how you feel. Give me your take on it, man.
If you're uneducated,
yeah,
you will agree that the game is not worth $70. But if you happen to be educated, and I'm going to educate everybody listening, this is for you guys, because I don't want you to be like Doughboy, like Cloudy Chip. I call him Doughboy. That's his other nickname. But don't be like him when you grow up, okay? We're gonna correct him and give you guys the information you need to understand why the remake is important. First and foremost, it's not a remastered. Doughboy's asking for a remastered version for the PlayStation 5. If they did that, then he's not wrong. If they went and said, let's make the graphics a little better, go ahead, here you go, and you're done. But they did not do that. and they are not doing that. This is a remake from the ground up, means it's basically a brand new game. What they used is the animations, the facial and voice performances, and they remodeled the figures and they redid the whole game. Okay? If you see The Last of Us Part 2, in The Last of Us Part 2, the AI is a lot more responsive. They're more uh, alert. They'll flank you. They'll call out things when they see it. They're very, very good. And also the mechanics, I'm able to run and dodge some attacks. I'm able to do a tons of crazy good features that didn't exist in the first game. If you know me, anybody that's watching, I've said this a lot for 10 years, whatever it's been since the game released. The original Last of Us gameplay was bad. I've said it on Twitter. You can go look at my tweets way back then. And I've said it all throughout the history of The Last of Us, all the way until The Last of Us 2 came out. And I said, wow, they shut me up because The Last of Us 2 gameplay is so good. No matter if you like the story or not, I don't care. That's a different conversation. But if you love the gameplay, you're a smart person because it is top tier, one of the best in the industry overall for a survival
Yeah.
experience, horror experience. And the truth is, the new game is going to take everything great about Part Two's gameplay mechanics and bring it into Part One, the remake. Also, it's using some of Uncharted 4's experiences that they learned and all the things that were successful, and they're adding that as well into the remake. So you're not getting another remaster. Oh, they brought it from the PlayStation 3 to the 4. They should just do the same thing and charge $40, $20. No, you're getting an actual full new experience. Yes, it's the same story, and you don't have to buy it. Just don't buy it. Like I said earlier, this is a good segue. Earlier, I said if you don't want to support something, then don't buy it. If you didn't like The Last of Us One story and you thought it was a weak game and it was terrible, just don't buy it. I'm not here promoting it. I'm not getting paid for it. But if you love the story and you love Part Two's gameplay, that's what the merge that you'll be getting, a lot bigger and better experience in your uh, vicinity. But you don't have to purchase it. Like I said, it's up to you. But that's why it's worth it. And I'll just make one more point, and this is my closer. Um, Basically, it is worth $70 and more than that because it's going to be in a great experience. I can tell. But in the gaming space, right? I pay for album $9.99, 19.99, depending on how special edition or whatever.
Yeah.
I pay for an album. I can replay that, and depending on what I'm doing, it can feel good. And there's a value to the $10 I spent on that CD, that music. I bought it on iTunes or wherever I bought it. Beautiful. With a movie, I pay $20, whatever, $30 for the movie, and it's a 2-hour experience, and that's it. Now, if I want to rewatch it, how many times could I rewatch the same movie is the question without it getting dull. With video games, The Last of Us, for example, is one of the greatest stories that gaming has seen. We're going to get that with new mechanics and gameplay. Video games are worth way more than any movie could ever be because you're spending way more time. You're not going to spend 2 hours in a movie theaters and then go back again and keep going back to the same movie because it's not worth it. That's why we don't go 20 times to a movie theater to see the same movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with a video game, you're getting 30 hours for a whole completion of a game. You're getting actual interaction. You're getting the music. You're getting all of these different elements that cost a lot of money for $70. That's a steal with a game like that. And I'm not the type of guy to be like remake everything. I say there's very few games we should remake, but this is one of those that are so gigantic that the fact that they're doing it is a slap in the face of the industry. You say, hey, we've been the best and we're going to keep being the best. And we're going to give you a $70 worth from the ground up experience that's going to be better than anything you probably played today.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's worth 70 or more. That's my statement. I got nothing else to say about it.
Yeah,
I'm done.
I feel like biggest reason why they even launching this is because they got the HBO series for The Last of Us is actually supposed to be coming out. I'm not sure when. I don't even think they have a due date as to when. I know there's a trailer out there right now as it stands when it comes to the Last of Us. But I know they're working on a series, and I feel a lot of this hype around, never mind just the video game. I feel like a lot of it has to do with, that new series coming to HBO. So I think it wants to. I think a lot of it has to do like, once the series starts to launch, people are a little bit more excited for it because they got to play The Last of Us Part One. They're a little bit more tuned with what's happening as far as a gamer, and then they want to go ahead and entices them to want to watch and support the series. And then those people who have never played The Last of Us ever, right? Let's say they never owned the PlayStation, and this is, I believe, is going to be coming for PC as well. Will sit back and say, "Oh, I really gotta." They watch the series and they fall in love with what the series has to offer, and all of a sudden it's like, "Wow, we need to play that game," because games offer you a different experience, right? So I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that series is coming, and that's the reason why we're even getting a remake. But like I said, I feel like this $70 price tag would have been so much better if it had like the upgraded version. If it had the upgraded version to the Last of Us 2, I feel like we would have been in so much awe, and we would have been more accepting of that $70 price tag. But I feel like it's been the topic, right? And everywhere you go online, you'll see it's been talked about. That $70 price tag, and I'm okay with spending $70 on a game. I don't have a problem when it's, especially like Mag was saying this, that when it comes to a game of this caliber, right? There's not many games that stand up to this, that reach this level, and the fact that this game is actually one of those, the gold standard for video games, I feel like it deserves the praise that it's getting. It deserves praise, right? But I feel like what people are up in arms about is the fact that they have to sit here and eat the fact that the game's been remade since the PS3 to the 4, and now they have to pay again for it. It's almost like the Mario syndrome, right? It's like you get the Mario that came out for the Nintendo, then they have the same Mario game, they're charging you again for the Wii, and then the Wii U comes out, and now you got to pay for it again, and then all of a sudden now the Switch is out, and they come out with the Mario, you got to pay for it again. And it's like you get a lot of times they keep just putting out the same, but this is different because Mario, those Mario games that came out, those are just like they don't even do anything different to it, but they just sit there and charge you the $5-10 to buy that game again, or they'll repackage it and all of a sudden they sell it to you as a brand new game. And like I said, it's at least here they're doing a whole redesign, right, from the ground up, like Max said. So you're gonna get some value in that, being that the fact that the gameplay was so well done in part 2. And bringing that over to part 1 is going to be amazing. But I feel like if they could just give us that PS5 upgrade for the Last of Us 2, I'll be the happiest person, bro. And I won't even be disagreeing right now. But I have to disagree.
You already can play the game at 4K and 60 frames per second. Part 2. What more PlayStation 5 of a version do you want? They already have it so good, well done, that if you own the PlayStation 5, you can activate the 4K 60 frames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said, if I had to choose, like I said, my biggest take on that whole thing is going to be I disagree. I don't feel it's worth the the $70. But like I said, I'm such a fan of the series. I love The Last of Us, and I will be playing The Last of Us 2 on the hardest difficulty. I'm going to be playing that, giving that a shot, challenging myself a bit, but I will be playing it. And that game is, part 1 is so well done. I think I even teared up and cried at one point. That's how crazy that game got, because you puts you through so many emotions, and it's crazy. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mag, you agree with the $70 price tag. You believe that is worth the $70?
Worth more than $70, yeah. But yes.
Yes. All right. Oh, perfect. All right. So now we're going to be getting over to the next topic. Next question It's actually a really big conversation, and I feel like this is needed to be had. It's going to be, is Overwatch 2 replacing the original game a smart idea? So right now there's been a lot of controversy up in the air because the Overwatch 2 right now it's going to be free to play if I'm not mistaken, but they're also going to be replacing Overwatch 1. And I honestly feel, and you guys can disagree with me if y'all, because I know a lot of people in the industry are gonna be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe everybody's going crazy because it's being replaced." I feel like it's needed. I honestly feel like with a game like Overwatch, because it's not like it's almost like Call of Duty too. But I feel like Overwatch comes out every like 10 years. I think when's the last time they came out with an Overwatch? It's been how long was that break? Yeah, I know there's only one. I know there's only one Overwatch, but how long was this break before we got part 2? It was like at least 7 years or 5. Yeah, like 5 to 7 years. Yeah, very long time, very big gap. So my thing is that they don't want to split the community, right? And this is huge because if the game comes out every year, I guess that wouldn't be okay. But if this game the last one they released was 6 years ago, and now they're coming out with a new one, having that original one still live, what ends up happening is that, and they're giving it free to play too, so it's not like you're gonna have to pay to get him to be involved in the new Overwatch 2. So you're not losing out. It's not like you lost out $60, So because you're still gonna be able to download the game for free. But I felt like to not split the community, making this game crossplay, it's entitled for the gamer. I think it's made for gamers. I think it's doing the community justice as opposed to how everybody's going crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe. I feel like it's needed, especially with a community like Overwatch because it's so unique. The community is so unique there. The last thing you want to do is split that community up. And they can still give you the maps, the gear, the gear and stuff that they offer in the original game, and rebundle it into different forms, and you'll still be able to still enjoy that. But in the newer version for Overwatch 2, still be able to enjoy that, but packaged nicely, right? And packaged differently, and be able to do that and not have the community split up. So I think it's worth it. I feel like it's a great idea that the fact that they're going ahead and they're getting rid of the old to bring in the new and support just the new, because that means they could put all their resources on that one game and they don't have to continue to support the servers for an old game that it was first released back 6 years ago. I don't see, especially when it's a shooter and you can implement a lot of that when it comes to stages and stuff like that. You can implement a lot of that into the new game. Like there's so many ways to do that. And I don't feel like I feel like it's not a loss. I feel like it's a win. And that's my take on it. Like I said, I know a lot of people in the community are going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. But I feel like it's necessary. I honestly feel like it's, and that's the reason why crossplay exists, right? Crossplay exists for the simple fact to build bigger communities, to bring everyone together, whether they're PC, whether they're PlayStation, whether they're Xbox, even Switch, like bringing everyone together for a particular game and building that one community is better than being on the Xbox community for Overwatch 2 and then having a community for the PlayStation. So PlayStation, Overwatch 2 community, just make it Overwatch 2 community and that's it. And have everyone come together, and crossplay is doing that for us. And I'm excited about it because a lot of times back in the days, before crossplay was even thought about, and or even a thing. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe like one of the biggest games to do that was Rocket League at one point, where they were like pioneering the whole crossplay. And then you had Fortnite that started doing it with Epic Games and started doing crossplay too. And they saw how well it did, and a lot of companies, and how well it was accepted by the community and by gamers, that they were like, we need to start doing that more for other games. Because what ends up happening, you split the community up, and then people like, it's like my cousin, like I wanted to play with him Call of Duty at one point. I had to buy an Xbox because he doesn't own a PlayStation, and then have to buy the game for the Xbox too, just to play with my cousin. And now it's like, I don't have to do that. I can still enjoy my time with him or my friends and my friends can buy the console of their liking that they choose, that they love, whether it's PC or whatever, and we'll be able to still come together. When we have our breaks in life, right, and we'll be able to sit back and just kind of play games, right, and enjoy our time, and be able to do that without the restrictions of these consoles. So I think it's well needed, man, and I'm so happy to hear that the never mind that it's free to play, but that this game is going to be getting a lot of support like it has over the years. And like I said, and this was probably the biggest title that was revealed at the Xbox conference to me as well. So like I said, I discussed that on the last pod. This time we're discussing whether or not it's even if it was worth getting rid of the original, which I think it is. So talk to me, man. What's your take on this? How do you feel?
Well, in 2016, all of you people who spent $60, Doughboy doesn't want to play $70 for The Last of Us, who's a masterpiece, one of the
I
greatest
love
games
The
of all
Last of
time.
Us, but yeah,
Already, it's already one of the greatest games of all time. He doesn't want to pay $70 for the remake. He said, not worth it. That's what he said with his own mouth less than 10-20 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago. Now he's saying that you in 2016, when you paid for watch Overwatch, the $60 that it costs, that you are an idiot. Okay? It wasn't worth it. That's what he's saying. He's saying you spent your money, it wasn't worth it.
not
So
saying that.
let me finish. So what he did is just to say, congratulations, you played yourself. Because you paid $60 for a game and the experience that it has, now it is gone forever. There's a lot changing in the game, okay? It used to be 5 players. Now I'm sorry, it used to be 6 players. Now it's going to be 5 players per team. Also, they changed the system. You used to be able to have 2 tanks, basically have a bunch of shields up, and it was very hard to play because that's what kind of killed the game, a part of it, which is 2 shields up of 2 tanks. You bringing in 2 tanks every match. Every
Yeah,
team has 2 tanks. If you don't have 2 tanks, you're not going to win. And you're shooting at a barricade for 5 minutes just to fight a team. Can't even fight a team until that happens. So yes, they made improvements because now it's going to be 5 players only, and there's only going to be 1 tank per team, which is a great quality fix. And there's a bunch of them more. I'm not going to get into every single detail of what's new, but the principle is yes, they're trying to improve the game. Yes, the game will probably be better, and they learn from their mistakes. But you taking something that I paid $60 for, that I actually got it for free, but I paid $60 for, and now I'm not going to be able to play it on October 4th. It is gone forever. You're literally taking away my $60 from me. Now, yeah, there's going to be a new one called Free to Play. I'm okay with that. That's great. I love it. Everything about the compliments of that is good because it brings the community together. They're going to have microtransactions to try to make money off of it. They got a battle pass that they're putting out for it now, which is smart. Before they used to have the loot boxes like idiots, and now they smartened up big time. And I give them credit for that. But in the end of the day, you're taking my $60 that I paid for it in 2016. I don't care if the game's 100 years old. If I have it on my system or I have the CD, and you're going to tell me it's not going to work anymore because you decided to make a second game and replace it completely. No one can ever access it again. So that is a problem, okay? But I like the idea for live service games to have something like that, okay? Games like Fortnite, games like Apex, and things of that nature. Nobody paid for those. So you getting them for free, and then if they say, hey, by the way, we're replacing this with a new version, it's going to be way better. We listened to everything you said, all the complaints, all the trouble, making everything cool, but go. I can respect that. But you're not taking my, and I'm not one of those guys. Like I said, I get a lot of games free from the studios, and then also me and Cloudy share our PlayStation game share that they have. The feature is amazing, by the way. But so I don't get to have to blow every single penny on every single game. But if they take it out of Cloudy's service or they take it out of my personal stash that somebody gave to me, one of the studios, all of a sudden I can't play that no more. I can't experience what I bought it for because you're doing that.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem lies. But I also, like I said, in the other side of it, for free to play games, let's say, like I said, the games I named, if they say, hey, we're going to make a new version of this, it's going to be part 2, it's going to be better, enjoy. I could respect that. So they messed up a lot by taking everybody's $60 and then making it free to play after. So it's like you didn't even you spent your money for nothing, you know. So, but I do think it's gonna be good in the long haul because, like I said, there's a lot of details on some of the things that they improved to try to change to make it better for players. It's coming out in October, the beginning of the year. We'll definitely play. I'm definitely gonna play it. I always play all the first person games that come out. Try to see what it has, something new, something different. Hopefully, it feels good. I will say, I know a lot of people that play the beta, and the complaint that I talked about, where the 2 tanks are gone, it makes the game more fluid, and you can actually play the game without worrying about 2 big tanks with barricades blocking everything, and you can't even shoot through, or it's like just shooting through a wall for a long time. It stopped all that, so it makes the game feel better. So we'll see how it plays. That's my opinions and my thoughts. I got nothing else to say about it.
But my thing, like I said, I honestly feel like it's neat. Like the fact that they're taking you $60, but they're sitting here and say, listen, guys, we're gonna go ahead and give you this free to play. It's good, right? Because they're not for the new game. They I feel like they supported it for 6 years. 6 years is a long time to have a game support, but to have like full support, right? So it's like time to move on to bigger and better things. And it's not like they're leaving you cut and dry. They're still gonna allow you to transfer over a lot of the stuff that you currently own, stuff that the money that you make, microtransactions, the money that you spent on gear or on loot boxes to be able to go ahead. Is that
a fact? Or are you making this story up?
It's a fact. They're merging a lot of the skins. Is a lot. Look it up. It's on Google. It's everywhere.
Google.
But it's been talked about. So you're gonna be able to. It's been announced that they're going to allow you to transfer stuff over from the old game. So you're not completely out of all the money that you spent to support that game. You're gonna allow you to put a lot of that into the new and merge it back over to the new one. So you're not, So like I said, don't worry about it. I feel like it's actually, at the beginning, your people are going to be kicking and screaming, but once you get your hands on the new one, you see how well it plays, you see that it's going to have full support from the teams. This is a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. But Valorant's a really great game. This has almost the same style. I feel like this is, and then you got Apex, right? Apex is a battle royale. The way this game is designed, I feel like I feel like this team is going to support this because they supported this game for 6 years. I felt like they're gonna do really good things with Overwatch 2 being a free to play, and they're gonna give it all the support that it needs to make this the biggest game, biggest shooter. And like I said, and it has a really great fan base. It has a really great community that supports it and stands by it. And like I said, you gotta take the good with the bad. But I feel like for the most part, if we had to outweigh the good and the bad, I will sit here and tell you it's more good on the horizon. If you look over the horizon and you see the sun on the other side, they ain't darkness, a lot of light on the other side. Don't worry about it. You guys are in good hands. And I feel like the teams, they understand the scrutiny. But, when you get your hands on this game, October, I believe it comes out, release date October 4th. If I'm not mistaken, am I correct about that, Meg? October 4th, sure. You guys can experience this for yourselves. And then you could tell me if I was wrong or I was right. But I can sit here and say it looks bright on the other side. Looks like there's a lot of good things happening, and I feel like it's more good than bad. So
hopefully it's a good game, but they still robbed you for $60.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we just have to wait and see and see if that's worth it, right? So that's my take.
It's free. What do you think?
So like I said, when it comes to it, do I believe that replacing is a smart idea, replacing Overwatch 2? I do honestly believe that. What do you think, Mag? Do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea? You agree to
Zero.
disagree. He disagrees. So Mag disagrees with this. And if you guys, let me know what you guys think. I know this has really been a really big topic that's been going around. And it's one of those things that, people, they feel like, if some people feel like me, right? They feel like, oh, you know what? I feel like it's needed. I feel like the communities needs to stay together. Having two games splits up the community, having it together and having them give it to you for free and being able to give that support, that wonderful support that they've given for 6 years, have all that together with being able to bring a lot of your stuff that you already purchased over to the new game. It's for the gamers. I don't feel like it's against gamers. I feel like it's for the gamers. And then you might have some people that sit there and say, you know what, Mag, you're 100%, and they stand with Mag, and they believe that they've been robbed. They've been robbed of $60. But
that's a fact.
But I said, like you might, like I said, it's agree to disagree, and and if you guys have something to say, like I said, feel free to put it in the chat. We can discuss it. Go ahead. You can always DM me or quote me, however you guys want to do it. Hit me up on Twitter at CloudyChiptv, or you can go ahead and once this video is up on YouTube, you can hit me up on the comments as well, and we can go ahead and discuss it. And like I said, it's one of those things that's been going circulating. The internet, it's been taking the internet by storm, and everybody, like I said, you got two sides, two opinions. So that's my take on it. So last but not least, and this is the big one, and this is one that I've been wanting to get into because me and Mag touched on it briefly last week, but we're gonna touch it today. And this is just a general question, and the big question of the day is going to be: does Nintendo have the biggest IPs? And me and Mag went into this conversation talking about whether or not we agree with this, right? I honestly feel like they do, right? I feel like Nintendo has the biggest IPs. There's nothing bigger than Nintendo. We could sit here and talk that PlayStation has Ratchet and Clank. They have all these great titles, right? They have God of War. They have, Nathan Drake. They have all these great IPs, right? They got really good IPs. But, there's levels to this. And Mario, by itself, Nintendo, Mario, the IP that started is, when people think gaming, they think Mario. They think Nintendo. Nintendo has established themselves as a well-established company when it comes to gaming. It's what I grew up on. I grew up with a Sega Genesis, with the Sonic, right? But I also grew up playing Nintendo. I grew up with the Marios, the Yoshis, and what they've built, right? Over time, I've owned a Nintendo. And over time, Nintendo has continuously developed and renewed and tried new things and pushed boundaries. And right now they have a Switch that is out that, it's not as powerful as a PlayStation or Xbox, but they're in their own lane, right? And they still continue to be competitive. And the biggest reason is, never mind they're creative and they're pushing boundaries, but Mario is the biggest thing in gaming. I grew up with it. You got kids, you got people that are in their 40 years old sitting there and they know what Mario is. And they have their kids are playing, they got the grandparents, kids playing Mario, and you see them, oh my God, Mario, they're playing on their little, on their little Switches, and everybody, and you got birthday parties, and they're not birthday parties, they ain't throwing it with God of War theme on these birthday parties and taking Ratchet and Clank and putting it out there. They're taking Mario, the IP, Toad, Yoshi's, all this, Princess Peach, right? All these things, all these are part of Nintendo. These are big IPs. These are IPs that are the closest thing of the just as big as Mickey Mouse. Mario is as big, if not bigger, when it comes to gaming, than Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is what made Disney. Disney is Disney because of Mickey Mouse. Gaming is gaming, and it is what it is because of franchises like Mario and Nintendo and what they've done with that IP. So my biggest take is there's nothing bigger than Mario. There's nothing bigger than what Nintendo brings to the table when it comes to IPs. It is the reason why Nintendo was such a competitor to this day, and they can be in their own lane and be able to still compete without even strictly directly competing with the competition, which is PlayStation and Xbox. They're able to still stay in their lane, still be able to take over a big portion of the market, still be able to be in their own lane and do what they do because of what they established with Yoshi, Mario, Zelda. Even Splatoon is a new IP that came out not that long ago, and even that is taking stuff by storm. Animal Crossing, Pokemon is one of the biggest things. Nintendo owns that. So we can continue to talk all day IP, but nothing touches it. And I know me and Mag were going back and forth, and we're going to discuss it a little more, a little bit deeper. And if you guys disagree with me, go ahead and put it in the comments. Put it on Twitter. I don't give a damn. We can talk about this because I have strong feelings, and this is not come. And mind you, and I love PlayStation. I grew up with consoles and gaming in general, and I love the God of War series. I love the Nathan Drakes. I love Ratchet. I love what PlayStation has done to build PlayStation to what it is. But I still cannot sit here and say that they have bigger IPs or have a bigger IP than what Nintendo does. There's nothing that competes with what Nintendo does, and that's just my take on it. And me and Mag were discussing about this off camera for some time, a little bit on camera, but off camera as well. And we wanted to bring this to you guys. And this is like a little bonus because I wanted to kind of get this conversation out there and get you guys a part of this conversation because it's something that I'm passionate about. I love gaming, but I also wanted to have this conversation, never mind with just Mag, but I want to get you guys involved and I want to see how you guys feel. Let's talk about it, right? So Mag, talk to me. How you feel?
Right, we're gonna do this on 3 parts. All right, you did your opener. I'm gonna do my opener. We're gonna do a back and forth, and then at the end we'll do our closing statements. That's how we go on with this. We're taking this to court right now, ladies and gentlemen. Cloudy Chip is delusional. First and foremost, I'm a gamer who's played Atari before Nintendo existed. I'm a gamer who played Sega, Nintendo, all of the consoles when they released. Pretty much every console when they released, I played basically. Hardly miss any console ever, besides Soldier Boy console that he put out like 2 years ago. I've never touched that thing. I don't want to touch that thing, but no offense to him, God bless him. But the facts are simple, okay? Sonic the Hedgehog is a Sega game. It made a movies. It's popular right now. One of the biggest movies of the year. Incredible movie, by the way. I loved it. Sega's dead. Okay? They didn't have enough in the tank to survive PlayStation. Okay? Nintendo is one of the greatest consoles makers and video game makers of all time. And I think they're second best to PlayStation. So I'm not debating on Nintendo specifically. I think they're right there as far as being able to stay alive and relevant with what they offer. The conversation and the question in the setup is IP, which means the properties. Okay, so what do you have to offer? And we'll get into it a little bit in a second. But I want to try and help people understand the difference. Okay, like I just said, the reason I brought up Sonic first was because that's Sega. Sega's gone, doesn't exist. They do have an iconic IP, aka character. His name is Sonic. If Sonic decides to go with a spin-off movie with Tails or with Knuckles, which they might do because the movie was so big, they'll probably do one. It's still the same IP, just a spin-off to the IP.
Yeah.
And the problem with Cloudy's argument, and we'll get into this next, don't worry. Make sure you get a list right now, Cloudy. Get yourself a list of all of the Nintendo IPs. And he's going to sadly end up with less than 10 IPs compared to PlayStation's
but Ryan, we're talking IPs. We're not talking games.
I gave you your time, sir. This is my time. Your Honor? Thank you, Your Honor. So he's going to have a struggling time, and all he will try is bring is spin-offs that don't actually equate to a new IP. It's the same IP being brought out. So Mario, yes, he has Luigi, Princess, Yoshi, Donkey Kong. And as a matter of fact, Donkey Kong is the originator IP for that specific brand because that was what came out when I was a kid. And Mario was just a guy trying to defeat Donkey Kong. And then that was one of the original games. If you guys didn't know that, I know you're too young, probably some people. If you're old enough like me, you know what's up. The end of the day, that one IP is one of the greatest, is one of the biggest, and it's definitely debatable on if it's the biggest IP in the world.
Yep.
But if you equate that and then you take all of these other games, which we're gonna do next, so Cloudy better be ready for the back-to-back, back and forth. If we go back and forth and we talk about right now, not talking about when I was in the 80s, when I was in my underwears playing Nintendo and it was the biggest brand. I'm not talking about in the 90s when it survived against Sega and then PlayStation came in and started dominating and it stayed there with PlayStation. I'm not talking about those days. We're talking 2022. Today, Nintendo can't compete on that side. Now, this isn't hopefully I don't get crazy comments from somebody that watches this that's one of my followers. I'm not hating on Nintendo. I love Nintendo. I think it's one of the best, and I'm so grateful to have them in my life all these years. I'm trying to defend the argument between biggest IPs in the industry right now at this time. And the evidence is beyond measure. And we're going to do that in just a minute here, and we'll go deep into it. Okay? So, but with all that said, that's my trouble is that if I was to just go in my heart and remember I was a kid playing Super Mario, grabbing the control like this while I jump over to try to get to the next area, like if it was a VR experience when I was a kid, it was 2 buttons and a freaking D-pad. That's not what we're talking about today and this modern 2022. So this is where the truth is, yes, an old soul like me knows about Mario and a young soul knows about Mario right now too, because they keep on bringing it back in different ways. And that's great. And I love it. And Luigi's Mansion is one of my favorite recent games that they made that I enjoyed all the way through. But against PlayStation, it's Mission Impossible. And I won't get too deep into it because the next segments that we're going to do is going to talk about PlayStation. But that is my claim and the reasons why. I can give you a list here. And Claudia, I want you to do me a favor first. Go into this is your personal thing. And I'm going to write these down as you say them. Okay? So do me a favor and name 10 PlayStation IPs. If this is the argument that we're having. And I don't want to hear spinoffs.
This guy said 10 PlayStation IPs.
Anything related to Mario is a spinoff. So we can't.
No, but you got to understand, like Princess Peach is an IP, Luigi's an IP, like all this is that world is all memorable.
No, it's the same game.
A little Goomba, the Goomba is in the Koopa Troopers, and all this. All this is part of the IP. It's not just by itself. I mean, it's not all in one to Mario. It's like Mario is Mario, Luigi's Luigi, and those are all separate IPs. Those are all separate characters.
I'm writing them down. Let's go.
What are you talking about? Like IPs, like actual characters?
Yeah, that's what the question is about. So go.
IPs.
Actual IPs. It's a property. It's
the property. Toad is a property. Princess Peach is a property.
No, that's it. That's all Mario properties.
So Mario and Pokemon alone will destroy anything that you have to say.
Pokemon is not Nintendo only. It actually is on PlayStation and is on Xbox as well.
Nintendo owns it.
You could keep it. We'll put it in there. All right, go ahead. What else? Pokemon, Mario,
but Mario's his own world. Zelda, Metroid. Zelda.
Is Metroid
Splatoon.
Nintendo?
Metroid is a yep. Fire Emblem. Animal Crossing is a huge game. And that's Nintendo IP'd.
1 second.
Pokemon alone has sold over $90 billion.
All right, so what was it? What was it you just said? Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing.
What else? Animal Crossing, Metroid, Pokemon, Zelda, Mario. That's 5. Pretty good.
What
Keep
do you mean?
going.
But there's so Yoshi. Yoshi has his own game.
Mario.
Luigi has his own game.
That's
So
Mario.
but they have his own game. Kirby is another one Nintendo owns.
You sure that's a? I've seen Kirby all over on other platforms.
No, Kirby's Nintendo owned. Nintendo owns that.
What else? I got that written down.
Star Fox is another big series. It's a lot. It's like I said, Fire Emblem is another big
Yeah, name
series.
more. There's not even 10 there.
I'm thinking.
Think.
But just
Yes, you
that,
are.
but just that alone, that alone is enough to take out anything you have, bro. Because I'm telling you, like that as a franchise, like that whole series, that whole IP as a franchise can't be touched. I'm sorry, there's nothing. We're gonna try to sit here and make an argument as to what's bigger. It's like, not like we could sit here and say maybe Mickey Mouse is maybe not as popular as the Marvel series. But it's not to say that Mickey Mouse isn't bigger than anything Marvel. Like I feel Mickey Mouse is probably bigger than anything Marvel because it's what started everything. And when you throw kids parties, is all you do is sit here and everything Mickey Mouse. My wife loves me. But what I'm trying to say,
does Mickey Mouse no more like that.
I understand that, but everybody wants to go to Disney to see Mickey Mouse and to see Donald Duck and everything else.
Not to see Mickey. They care about the rise. They care about the other characters. The
What
princesses.
Disney built, and Disney was built on Mickey Mouse. So that's my take, man. And like I said, I still got my wife. She loves Mickey Mouse.
Wait, we got your list. We got your 7, barely 7. You can hardly get.
And like I said, it's like Nintendo's holding to such a great, like PlayStation. They got to the point that they had to drop their PS Vita because they were trying to do what Nintendo was doing with the Nintendo DS, and they couldn't. They could not. But they couldn't. They couldn't. But what I'm saying, no. But what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that they couldn't compete with what Nintendo was bringing to the table.
Nintendo didn't even have a Switch out when the PlayStation had a
not a Switch. They had a DS.
Bro, like that.
You're lying. A Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Color. Come on, man. Let's not. Let's stop it.
Anymore.
Stop
At
it.
that time, Nintendo moved over to the
Stop
Wii.
it.
To the Wii.
Stop it. That's blasphemy, bro. That's blasphemy.
No. Pause this conversation on that. This is a different topic, but understand when the Vita came out, Nintendo moved over to consoles. They stopped doing the mobile games at that time. They did make them before in the past. What I'm explaining to you during that time, if you remember, because you bought all that crap. You bought the Wii U, you bought the Wii, you bought the PP, the CC, you bought the DD. But the point is that that's not what the conversation is about. Let's get back on target here. So we're looking at, and we're gonna save Mario for last. Star Fox can't compete with anything PlayStation. Do you understand how much PlayStation has?
I do. They have Crash Bandicoot. They got Spyro. They got Ratchet and Clank. They got God of War. They got Nathan Drake. They have a ton of IPs. I can sit here and tell you a list of the IPs that they own.
Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot. I said that.
The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Uncharted. You go down the list, and the games are endless for.
But what I'm saying is that you say Mario, doesn't matter if the person's 70 years old or the kid is 3 years old, 4 years old. You just mention the name Mario and coming out anyone's mouth, they're gonna know what you're talking about. You cannot say that about nothing that PlayStation puts out as far as the IP.
You can. That's what you're saying. That's what you don't.
I don't feel like I don't feel it holds the same weight. I can't go to a 70-year-old person and say, "Do you know what God of War is?" They're gonna be like, "Who's Kratos? Who is Kratos? Who is Kratos?" They're gonna look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, "What is this kid talking about, Kratos?"
No 70-year-old played Superman, Super Mario because it came out when I was a kid, and that was in the 80s. So you're wrong about that. All right, but I get your point, and you're not wrong about like having some people know about it a little bit. But overall, the popularity and the IPs for PlayStation, from Persona, Uncharted, Last of Us, what's that called? Kingdom Hearts, which is a Disney thing. It's the Spider-Man series. That's another amazing setup. There's tons and tons of games that basically eclipse everything else throughout the world
This,
when it comes to, okay, we're accumulating all of this, and you're just trying to say Mario, and you're one stamp. And don't get it twisted. First of all, everybody, Zelda is one of the best series, in the top 20 maybe, or top 100.
all those
top
games
50.
were the foundation to what
Um,
PlayStation was built on.
PlayStation
Sorry.
was way more original than the Xbox.
But I'm saying not Xbox, not Nintendo. I'm saying because
PlayStation's
the
more
first
original than
game,
Nintendo.
to even do 3D, the first game to
PlayStation.
even do it 3D properly
PlayStation.
was Mario N64.
Nope.
The first game to
PlayStation.
pop that was 3D
First
that
game that
they
you
was doing it
played
right.
was Mario
Oh,
64.
is that like, I'm just telling you
That's
what it
what you
is.
mean. No. Go look it up on what was the first game to do 3D. You'll see. But the argument isn't about that part, about who was first on that. The facts about that is another conversation that we can have about originality. And we'll see who has more IPs and original. And you're going to lose that battle too, because PlayStation continues to make new stuff. Nintendo's surviving off of a specific non-original, let's repeat this, or let's just Mario, Luigi, Princess, Mario, Luigi, and they just keep on bringing it over and over, and it's fine. I love it. That's not what the argument is. But we're talking about IPs today. Specifically, you're talking Star Fox. That's corny. Like, people don't really. I know there's probably millions of people who played it, but it's not the biggest IP in the world.
It isn't.
Kirby also isn't the biggest in the world. Animal Planet's a very popular game. And that one actually is more
Animal
relevant.
Crossing. Yeah.
Animal Crossing is more relevant than most of these on the list. Okay? Metroid, another big one.
But the question is not relevancy. The question is not relevant. The question is not relevancy.
Relevant means big. How big are you right now? Means how relevant are you right now, in other words. So it's the same conversation. And then Pokemon is not a Nintendo exclusive thing. They have it all over on all the consoles. It's on every console, even Xbox, the lowest of the bunch. So outside of Zelda, outside of Mario, outside of Animal Crossing, and Metroid, that's 4. PlayStation will surpass you with 50 of the biggest games in the industry, biggest IPs in the industry that people know very, very well from the very start. And that's where, what I'm talking about is not that PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo's better. I'm not here to argue with that. If your favorite is Nintendo, guess what? That is an amazing console to have. It's a fun thing to do. You're on an airplane, you can play. You get home, you put it on your big TV, you could play. You do a lot of family stuff with it, which I love personally. That's why I love Nintendo, to hang out with my family. My sisters make me play Just Dance. I like to play Mario games and little, silly stuff that they have. So I love the Nintendo. This is an argument if it's good or bad. The argument is about the IPs, and I got lists that I can go down. Like I said, I just named over 10 already for PlayStation. There's way more, like the Final Fantasy series. We didn't even touch on those. You know what I mean? Like, there's endless amounts of series on the PlayStation. And that's where my argument, that's what I'm trying to explain to you, is PlayStation always gets the exclusives. The series that you know and love, it's like, oh, this came out for PlayStation first, and it was originally an IP for PlayStation. Okay, that makes sense. And that's where the argument, I feel, is, and we got to navigate that. Now, if you're saying in the past greatest IPs, like the longest time, Nintendo can win that because it's been there the longest. And then we go into, other things that we can kind of do, but it's also just like a relevancy. Like, what, there was years where Mario was dead, and then you had PlayStation games that were consistent. This is the thing that I'm trying to explain. It's the consistency of PlayStation of nonstop amazing exclusive titles that are their IPs are great. That's what my argument's about.
So it's like if you're talking relevance, like example, like Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson was probably the biggest artist in the world, right? And as you start to get away from certain generations, it starts to fade in time, but it still doesn't take away from what that person stood for, what the dent they made in the industry when it comes to music. Same thing goes for like if I think basketball, Michael Jordan is the first thing that a lot of people puts in their head. But as you start to get away from certain generations, you would start to build on a new demographic, a new the new demographic will start to take its form and start to take over. Like, oh, now they think LeBron James is the biggest thing, right? But in reality, if when someone like myself or Michael Jordan is probably the biggest thing in basketball, and he still stands to this day with probably one of the best, if not the best, basketball player to ever play the game. And a lot of people, we can have that discussion at any other time, but that's just an example as to what Mario is. Mario, maybe he's not as relevant as the God of War as of now, let's say, right? It's not as relevant as the God of Wars and the Uncharted or even Ratchet and Clank at this time. But when you think video games, you think Mario. You think what Nintendo has done. Nintendo stands on that route, the Mount Rushmores, and Mario's face is on there. I can't say the same about a lot of IPs. I can't say the same about a lot of IPs that PlayStation had. And like I said, this does not take away from PlayStation. I love PlayStation. That's one of my favorite consoles, and not to get into a war, but it's one of the ones that every year that when they come out with one, I'm like, I have to have it, right? And it's just because of what they stand for, how the games that the exclusive that they do own. Like, it just fits into my world a little bit better, and I just love my PlayStation. If I had to choose one, that would be the one I would choose to go on trips with me. And if I had to choose one to live, and this is the only one I can have, PlayStation is always going to be my number one pick. But my thing is that we're not talking that. We're talking IPs, and IPs right now.
Resident Evil. Look, your statement is wrong about Michael Jordan. This isn't a person. This is a company who puts out a bunch of different games. And the representation of that is the IP. So I got an IP like Resident Evil, which is a PlayStation originally created on the PlayStation for the PlayStation only. Originally, it's an exclusive, and it still has a lot of exclusives for it. But the iconic part about what I'm trying to explain to you is the differences from Michael Jordan and LeBron is that this is a company that can put out a bunch of them. So sure, Mario can be one of the biggest of all time, but Resident Evil is one of the biggest of all time. And then you go to The Last of Us, one of the greatest games. You go to God of War, one of the greatest series. There's tons of series IPs. That's what they're called. Intellectual properties are what an IP means. An intellectual property, which is God of War, Uncharted, is different than The Last of Us. I can't say Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and 4 and then say that those are big IPs. No, that's one IP that has 4 games. And the same thing with God of War. It has like 8 games, and it's one IP. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you is that the difference in this conversation is I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong about Mario being one of the biggest IPs. But PlayStation has multiple big ones. So in Japan, Final Fantasy is so big, it's so successful. They made me play it yesterday. It was my first time, bro. And I actually liked it, and it was really good. And I was like, yo, this is cool. I like this game. And it's the same thing with Resident Evil, you just finished playing one of the biggest franchises in the world, originated IP from the PlayStation. And then you keep going down the list. PlayStation has brought way more originality, meaning more IPs to the world than my argument is than Nintendo has overall. Now, is Nintendo one of the biggest? Is Nintendo one of the best? Yes. Can you love that one more than anyone else? Sure, go for it. I'm not arguing for you to like what I like or don't like. I like them all. I'll play whatever I like. But if we're doing the debate, that's where I stand, and that's what I'm trying to explain is if you talk about like, damn, they made that IP2? Who made that one? Who made this one? And you're going through all the series and you're saying, and you list your favorite 20 series right now, it will probably mostly be PlayStation, and then you'll have one which is Mario, and then maybe if you're like into Zelda or maybe you're into Metro Prime, maybe you're into Pokemon's, right? Depending, if you're really really deep only into Nintendo, that's fine.
But what I'm saying is this, right? Because Pokemon's probably I've never played any of the Pokemon games. It's probably the biggest thing on the that's probably sold the most.
It's not only PlayStation.
right?
It's not only
So my
for
thing is that it's not my personal list. I'm not going off my personal. I'm just going off what they stand for, what they what they've done over time, and what they represent, and what those IPs represent for gaming, and that has nothing to do with my personal take on like oh, I played every Pokemon game. That Pokemon's the best, right? Because but yes, you're right. I will
Pokemon is
probably
actually on
favor more.
PlayStation, bro.
I will
Why you
probably
make it sound like
favor. I would probably favor more in the PlayStation IPs. It's just because that's my cup of tea. But that's not to say that Nintendo doesn't stand for something. And Nintendo definitely has IPs that are, like I said, they what started it all. Their faces on
did
Route
not. They did not
Moshmore.
start it all.
Their faces on Route Moshmore. They stand for something bigger. And when anyone thinks gaming, they think Nintendo. They think Mario, right? And now it's like I said,
Sure. There's no news.
as time progresses, yes, you're gonna start having bigger IPs start to become more relevant because right now they're starting to turn into shows. You got The Last of Us turning into a series. I think there's even talks about God of War probably coming
God of
out
War is already in progress.
and coming out with a
That's
series.
Twisted Metals. Metal
Yeah,
for
Twisted.
PlayStation.
Yeah, so now you got a lot of the stuff that they're doing. They're starting to bring it into the. They're starting to turn them into like actual like series and movies and it's gonna be more relevant, right? So PlayStation is slowly building that repertoire of being relevant, right? And they are relevant. They are what is hot right now, but at the same time, I have to sit here and say, you know what, like just be realistic, be real to myself, understand, be realistic, and say, you know what, Nintendo has the biggest IPs. We can all agree on that, or we can't.
We
Agree to
cannot
agree to disagree.
agree to disagree. Hit the button. We need the button, bro. We're gonna get a button. Everybody
And this
listening
is a
right
big,
now
and
on
this is a
Spotify
huge
and
topic.
iTunes.
Yeah,
Apologies. First of all, I am wrong. Nintendo's incredible. I love Nintendo. I'm not saying nothing bad. And secondly, these IPs are incredible that they offer. My point is the originality. The originality of these PlayStation consistently is giving us more than any other setup. You can't even put Xbox in the conversation. Then you got Nintendo right there bringing out the same IP over and over and over in different ways. Mario Paper, whatever that's called, the Odyssey. Then you got the original Mario's coming back, and then you got the spin-offs like Luigi. Then they got Yoshi, and then they do Donkey Kong, and it's beautiful. But it's just the originality of like an IP is an intellectual property, right? So when I do, well, for example, there's a game that I'm trying to make a game for, and the series is so big, having a conversation with the license manager, they explain this IP is untouchable. It's too much red tape to even get to. You got to have to be able to bring it because there's millions of people who want this IP, and it's a spin-off, but it doesn't matter because tied to the IP, it's all together, and that's what the conversation was. So in a way, I'm right. In a way, he's right. But I'm gonna still agree to disagree. We're gonna hit that button.
and I said agree to disagree. And like I said, this is a really big topic we've been having off camera. And I would love if you guys, if you guys tell me what y'all feel, man. Tell me how do you guys agree with me and my take? Do you agree with Mag and his take with PlayStation and how he feels they hold the throne when it comes to IPs? Like I said, agree to disagree. And like I said, man, this is just all fun, right? Man, this is just like some really good segments that we put
Not
out.
really. We about a fist fight after this.
This is all for fun and games, but at the same time, it brings it brings a really good question, right, to the forefront, and it allows people to really think and say, "Wow, what is really the biggest IP?" It makes you think, right? So let me know what you guys think. So, like I said, I agree that Nintendo has the biggest IPs. And Mag, of course, disagrees, and he has his reasons. I have my reasons, and let me know what are your reasons, right?
Ain't nobody wrong or right here, guys. Understand? I just like to speak strongly and get my mind across. I do have some stuff that I want to bring up before we go because it's getting late. But we appreciate everybody watching on Spotify and iTunes. We want to start bringing you the stuff there. And I just want to talk about a couple of interesting things as we go forward to get you excited for the future of the show and also in gaming. All right. So, first and foremost, next week, PlayStation. Yeah. Well, actually, it's you shouldn't get too excited. It's actually the Sony press conference is next week, and they usually do sneak in about a 10-minute segment for PlayStation. They'll preview a new game, they'll preview new products, which the PSVR2 is a product, the PC and mobile side of things is a product. The more studios they can announce about that. They can talk about the cloud gaming, which is working so good. I was streaming these games all week and I was enjoying it on the PlayStation Plus. I'm like, damn, they made it even better now with this new package that they got, because it was good before, but it had a little tiny, like not noticeable, but very minuscule uh, delay, and now it's like you can't even tell. And then other conversations, maybe a PlayStation 5 Pro. They're gonna feature something in the PlayStation world, so you want to check that out for next week, as well as not next week specifically. Nintendo, talking about Nintendo, they trying to drop some bombs in July. They want to hit hard and try to do a conference. They did have a conference. We didn't talk about it really. It was a very lackluster conference, in my opinion, for Nintendo Direct. I don't want to take no shots, but the Chronicle Part 3 is coming to the Nintendo, and they just did a whole feature on that game. And I'm not going to even get into it, but Nintendo's coming back for July. That should be good. Ubisoft is having a press conference in July. EA is also having a press conference in July. So all these big boys, the big dogs, especially Nintendo for Cloudy, is going to be coming and giving us some news. We're going to be breaking that down, getting deep into it, especially for Nintendo. I feel like Cloudy has committed, for bringing this topic up, he's committed to his Nintendo conversation. He said something wild, Nintendo's the greatest. And I was like, all right. And we got to have a debate about that another day. But that's a deeper combo, because you got to get real with what they did. The innovation, the ideas of controls being off the hands. That's one of my favorite things that they ever did. I wish all consoles came like that, where I could just pull out my PlayStation control and not have to stand in front of it like this, and have it to my side, because it's actually healthy for your posture. And it's more of a health idea. But I love that they did that for Nintendo. I love a lot of stuff from Nintendo. So it'll be interesting to see what their conference is going to bring. I don't know if they're going to start like, oh, we got another console. It'll be crazy for them to just jump into another console right now. They're selling like hotcakes. The Switch is top tier seller in the industry. So absolutely excited for those conferences. Outside of that, there's just a small, quick one more conversation for October. I tweeted about this. October's crazy this year so far. I want to talk about October and November. And for October, Claudia, I know you I don't know if you remember. Let's just talk here. You remember all the games I sent you that are coming out in October?
Yes. So one of them is Gotham Knights. There was a couple of them. I don't remember all of them, but it's a huge list. So let me see. Bear with me 1 second. I'll go ahead and pull it up so we can discuss it.
So Overwatch Part 2, the one we just talked about, is coming out in the 4th of October. Everything I'm talking about is coming out in October right here. That's coming out on the 4th. And then right after, the same week, Marvel's Midnight Suns is coming out. It's a big game. It's a turn-based game. Cloudy said he wasn't feeling the fact that it's turn-based. He thought it was going to be live action, and it's not. So it is what it is. I would like to try it. Then there's Forspoken, which I think is going to be a candidate for me. It's one of those games. It's different, right? It's a lot of parkour. She can fly around and move around special. Yeah. And that's just beautiful. Instead of walking, running to the next mission and stuff like that, you can actually do some parkour in a different way rather than like a Assassin's Creed where you're climbing. So that made me feel really good. And then they had some exciting gameplay as far as like using her magic and things like that. I thought the game was interesting. Then another game that I'm actually going to play this week on my stream, Plague Tale, is coming out with Part 2. And that looks really beautiful. It's going to come out in the 18th. So that's another big banger. And one that you can catch me and Cloudy playing together for co-op is called Gotham Knights on the 25th of October. We're going to really, really have some fun with it, hopefully. And then another banger for Cloudy, which I'll join him forcefully. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on the 28th.
Oh, so man.
Those are the big bangers.
There's a lot of big hitters. That is
Yeah.
a
So what
lot
do
of
you
big
feel like?
hitters.
What are you most excited about for October, bro?
My
Let's
biggest
just
excitement right now, of course, Call of Duty. It's probably the biggest for me, because
out of
there's
all of those games.
so no. So let me
Tell
get
me
my
why.
take. So my biggest take right now with October's release is
Hammer.
it's going to be Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare to me is probably going to be the biggest um, like anticipated game for October, because there's some things they're going to be doing different. And my understanding is that there's talks about a new battle royale with a new map from the ground up. It's supposed to be really well done, and I'm not 100% sure if it's coming out at the same time. But I know it's something that's in the works. So I want to see what Modern Warfare does, because I want to see how much they change it up, right? But if I had to choose one, will be Gotham Knights. And it's just because of, like, I've always been a huge Batman series has always been one of my biggest, right? I love the Batman series. I love Batman as a whole, right? So it's probably one of my favorite superheroes. So my thing is that for Gotham Knights to be coming out, I'm curious to see what they do different, especially since it's supposed to be a co-op game. I really want to see what they do to kind of implement some co-op into the game, right? To see how well the gameplay merges. And as far as new IPs, Forspoken, it's for what I've seen is going to be amazing. So those, if I had to rank them, those are the three big hitters for me for that month.
Yeah.
Gotham Knights, Modern Warfare, and Forspoken are the three big hitters. For me, of course,
Gotcha.
Overwatch is one of those I want to play and I want to get into. But we're
No,
talking,
you playing it.
I'm
You
playing.
talk all that smack.
I am
You
playing
playing
it.
it now.
I no.
60 hours a week.
I am gonna play it. But my thing is that I really want to see what Forspoken, because it's a new IP. I want to see what they do with it. And not only
Oh,
that,
new
but
IP for PlayStation?
but
What was that? Say that again?
no, but I want to see what they
Original?
do,
Not a sequel? Not
because
a original?
the reason why I'm so hype about this, and like I really want to see what they do, is because it's not made for PlayStation 4, right? So it's not supporting the older generation. We're getting a true next gen experience with this game because it's strictly on PlayStation 5 and PC, meaning that it's not being dumbed down in any way. It's been strictly made to support the power of the PlayStation, right? What PlayStation can offer. And I want to see what they bring, because with games like this is where you can see what power truly lies and what they can really do with the console. And like I said, as they start to get more comfortable with developing for the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 has been out for about 3 years now. We're going to start seeing more and more slowly transition off of the PlayStation 4 and get strictly into PlayStation 5. Once we start, like, it's going to happen over time, but we're already starting to see the slow progress and seeing Forspoken, seeing I want to see what they're able to do with it. Like, I'm curious, and I really want to see how well put together. And usually PlayStation does an amazing job with bringing games like
Set up
this.
a new IP that PlayStation does?
Well, like I said, I feel like they're gonna do a good job with it. I feel like what I've seen so far, it's definitely high up in my list after I took the time to really absorb what they have. But that game right there is going to be the biggest one for me. And then Gotham Knights, because me and Mag, we get together and we want like a really good like co-op experience. We want to be able to enjoy something as co-op. We played that Dying Light. Dying Light 2 was a really amazing game. We played Elden Rings. We can discuss another time multiplayer and how that was. But like this, a couple IPs that a couple games that's been out there. But I'm really curious because this game is from the ground up. Like I said, strictly just PlayStation 5. It's exclusive to PlayStation 5. And not only being exclusive, is on PC as well. So that means we get to see what the power of the PlayStation does, right? So, and it being co-op, I want to see, because when you develop for something that's co-op, you tend to get a different side to gaming, right? And I want to see how well they can implement that. I want to see how well they do that. And then, like I said,
I'm gonna ruin everything for you guys. I'm gonna ruin it right now. Gotham Knights. Batman is dead.
we don't know that. We haven't played it, but who
No, he's
knows?
dead.
We don't know that. I don't agree with it. You can't kill
He's
off the.
dead.
You can't. It's like you can't kill off the biggest character in the movie.
You can.
Uh,
That's why the Gotham Knights exist.
well,
Spoiler. Are you sad?
like I said, it's like I said, it's not like the next Batman Arkham. It's like it's fine, but my thing is like it's a different game. It's gonna have a different feel, and I want to see what they do with it. So
Yo,
yeah,
players got so mad about that, bro, when they found out he's dead. It was in the trailer. That
yeah,
man's
yeah,
dead.
yeah. And like I said, that's my biggest thing. Is that's my biggest one, and then like I said, to tie it all in, Call of Duty. Call of Duty's been doing some really good things. I played most of them, almost all of them.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with the battle royale with the Warzone, and it's about they're already in that stage where they need something new, right? Players want something fresh, and I want to see what they do. They're like I said, I'm not 100% sure it's coming out when Modern Warfare 2 comes out, but Modern Warfare 2 was probably the best Call of Duty aside from
Well,
Black Ops. It was probably one of the
I have an argument
most
about this now.
memorable. It was probably one of the most memorable ones, and for it to be re-released and redone from the ground up and bring that nice player base and have all the different nice new feel, the weapons and everything, I think they're gonna do a really good job, and I want to see what they do with it. So, my curiosity is what's driving me strongly to Modern Warfare, and like I said, in part two was probably one of my favorite ones. Like I said, I didn't get into Black Ops until a little bit later on, Black Ops 4 and stuff like that. I didn't really get too into Black Ops 2 and 3, but there was people that were addicted to they didn't sleep. They with their eyes bloodshot. They didn't sleep. But Modern Warfare 2 did that for me. So as to some degree. So I was, you know what? Like I have to see how well it transitions from something that was released so long ago and see how they're able to transition that over to the new generation. That's my take
Yeah,
on it.
I hear you. I mean, I'll just quick take on everything you said. First and foremost, yes, Call of Duty's always been top tier, one of the best in the industry. It's very popular. Popularity isn't always a thing, so they understand that they've been fumbling on the bag on a couple of things, and they could have capitalized on the battle royale scene and been the best in the industry. I do believe that they're adjusting, so I will see if we get a great battle royale, which I'll definitely be playing because I love the difference between regular shooters, just objective based or team deathmatch matches. And then you play battle royale where you're in an open world, basically trapped in an island, and it's shrinking on you, and you got to fight. So I love that. And then as far as Gotham, man, yeah, I can't wait for us to kick it. We'll be streaming it. I stream every single day, basically. Um, by that time, I'll be streaming back again. Probably taking July off, by the way. That's a whole different conversation. We'll see what happens in the next day. Um, Besides that, for Spoken, for example, the new IP is a great closure to the debate of how consistent the IPs keep coming for PlayStation that are successes and huge games. Sifu, talking about recent ones, Returnal, and so many amazing ones that are becoming iconic in their own way and building up the long list of IPs that PlayStation has. And yeah, that's my final shot at Cloudy. But I do got one more news for Cloudy and for everybody watching. I'm not a certified uh, employee of Sony or my Santa Monica, so don't take my words into guarantee unless I say this is fact. And this isn't facts, but this is hypothetically uh, rumory slash educated guesstimation. It's the best words I could use put together. This week coming up, we will get a release date for God of War, and it will be either the end of September or the start of November. That's it.
I don't believe that. I honestly don't. We talked about this last time, but I my thing is that it's gonna happen in April or May. I don't see it going. I don't see it going to September holiday
Just because
season.
it released on April last time for my birthday.
No, no, it's not that. No, it's not that. I just feel like PlayStation has been very consistent in staying away from the holiday season on their exclusives. They've been pretty much consistent. Like they try to let the Call of Duties take over the holiday season and let everything else kind of do their thing. And maybe they'll throw out one or two IPs that maybe be close to the holiday season, but they try to stay away from the most part of the holiday season. So because a lot of times it's crunch time too. So it's like I feel like they're comfortable, and what I've noticed, they're comfortable putting their stuff out, and they're comfortable putting their stuff out like early summer. You know, early summer and not midsummer, not so much in the actual summer, but like the April, the Mays. They come out in September, is probably September, middle of September, and like first middle of September, if that. Maybe February is a big month for them, but that's it. Like it's February, April, May, or September. And if it is September, it's typically like mid September, early September. I don't see
That
them. I don't see them
estimation is
going. I don't see them going into November. They hardly ever do. So I don't see PlayStation throwing out a really huge exclusive in the holiday season. I can
we
see
gonna see.
I'll see May, I see April, May. I don't see that happening in November. That's just my take on it, and I stand by that.
Okay, stand, sit, lay down, play dead, whatever you want to do. No, but it was good. It was good. That's all I got for you guys for news and information and thoughts on my closing uh, statement here. I don't have much to say. I make a lot of content, whether it's news related, written articles, whether it's streaming all the time, or my YouTube channels because I have multiple. And then we host esports tournaments, so you can catch me, Mad Gamer Inc, wherever you need me. And yeah, you can watch this show on Spotify, iTunes, etc., etc. Look us up and check out Cloudy and what he got going on. That's how I'm closing out right now. That's my final
Yeah.
statement, Cloudy.
Yeah, yeah, and then like I said, we're gonna. This is going to be on Spotify, Apple Music. It's on Stitcher right now. We're looking to put this over on the Google Podcast. I'm still waiting to get approval on that, but stay tuned. So typically you'll find this everywhere for the most part. And then on top of that, we're going. This will be, if you want to see my face and Mag's face. If you're hearing this from an actual podcast, you can find us and see our faces over at CloudyChiptv, over in YouTube, where this will actually the whole podcast will actually be up for you guys to enjoy. On top of that, like I said, if you want to come kick it with us live, catch us on Saturday, 1:00. It's typically a good time, and when we go live, it's a good time we can kind of interact, go live, and kind of get your feedback and be a part of the conversation, right? On top of it too.
But also, we go to our socials because we'll update you on when the show is going to be live.
Yep.
We'll update you on some topics. We're going to be putting out like a poll. What should we talk about this week? Sometimes we can do things like that. So if you want to go to our socials, Cloudy Chip TV, to interact and find out, or Matt Gamer Inc, and find out what's going on and get involved with us, because we want to make this interactive. We want the community to be involved with some of the news and some of the debates, because I'm not right in anything I said today, and Cloudy Chip is not right either. It's about thoughts, opinions, and feelings, and some facts as far as like the information that's out there, and then we take that and we use it to formulate whatever we feel from it. So your thoughts and opinions are just as important to us. So for me specifically, I love going back and forth on Twitter. So hit me up. We gonna do it. Let's go.
Yeah. And like I said, it's like I said, Twitter's if you want to find me, you want to get in contact with me, definitely Twitter's the way to do it. Over at CloudyChiptv. And then on top of it too, CloudyChiptv.com. I'm posting articles there. I also post a podcast. I do post some stuff that are being posted around over at the website. But it's like I said, it's a lot of great things coming. And if you want to just kick it with me as I game, I do game throughout the week. Typically it's around 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock every day for the most part. Try to. But catch me at Twitch, /CloudyChiptv. So catch me there. But I think that's all. I think that's all I got for today. Anything else, Mag, before we close out?
Appreciate everybody for listening. If you want any thoughts or feedback on what to do to improve, feel free to hit us up. If you got gaming news you feel like needs to be addressed or talked about, feel free to hit us up. You know, it's all love here, man. We just out here blessed enough to talk about video games. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world, and we're here to entertain you with some good gaming news to keep your mind focused on having some fun. All right.
All right. I think that's a good closing. Appreciate you guys for kicking it with us. Appreciate you guys, anyone who is listening. Appreciate you guys for if y'all stuck around for this whole segment, 2.5 hours almost. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the real ones. And yeah, catch us on the next one, man. Saturday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, and then on our Twitter also as well, you know, we'll update you guys on if anything does change. But like I said, that's when we're going live. So appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Peace.